Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel Wake Up Bright, where I share all the things that help me live each day a little brighter. I'm April Lord and I am on a journey to lose over 200 pounds. Welcome to my channel again. Today I am going to do a weight loss surgery Q&A, and it is my 8-week weigh-in post-surgery update. It's been a wild, fast ride, and I'm back at work now, so I don't have a lot of time. My hair is actually a little damp. I don't know if that's coming through, but work has been really good. I did my first full week back and super happy that I feel like I have more energy being out and about and moving even more than when I am at home. So last week, we're just going to jump into the weigh-in portion first. Last week I weighed in at 276. This week I weighed in at 272.8, so that's a loss of 3.2 pounds over this last week. I am very happy with that weight loss, and I really hope that it continues to be in this like 3 or even like a 4 pound range for a while, because I really want to get to that at least 30% down by my 3-month appointment. So which I have trouble seeing my body not getting there. I feel like I would have to do work in order for that to happen, in order for me to fail to meet that. But I also don't know. So I'm just going to keep doing the things that my surgeon and the weight loss team that I'm working with recommend to me and keep going forward. Now let's just dive into the Q&A. Answer these in the order that I read them, and I just went into the back of my YouTube and I'm just scrolling. So I'm starting with Mallory, and she asked, are you worried you'll gain the weight back once you lose? I kind of wish I would have picked a different one to start with. Of course, because when I experience a rapid weight gain or I gain a lot of weight, it typically coincides with big life changes / depression, and in those instances, it feels like I lose myself. Me that I am fades, and I just don't care. And I don't really make good decisions in that period. Everything just feels very different. My hope is that by taking Prozac, continuing with therapy, that I will avoid getting that far ever again. However, things happen, and I think I'll always be at risk. So if I were to live my life and have no fear of depression and to have no fear of weight regain, then that would leave me open to not preparing like I should to prevent it. So hopefully at this point, I now have a full set of tools of things that I can do to prevent going as deep into depression as I have in the past, and I will go from there. So yes, there's definitely a fear of weight regain. That was my biggest stumbling block with getting weight loss surgery in the first place, was the fear of gaining that weight back. So next question. You decide that weight loss surgery was the best option for you after years of wanting to lose it on your own? I asked because I'm struggling with the same decision. And this is Rosie. When I went to my doctor, I was significantly depressed. I knew that I was, and I did not want to continue to gain weight. I had gained quite a bit of the weight I had lost, which made me feel even more like a failure, because I'm like, well, this time I didn't crash diet. I didn't do a fad diet or even to lose the weight. I ate a balanced diet at a very small deficit over time, and then I didn't even lose all of the weight, and I got depressed and started gaining it back, and it was rapidly cycling. So I was like, I am gonna do weight loss medicine. That's really what I thought I was gonna do. So I went to my practitioner, and that's what I had asked for, and I basically was like, I found this weight loss clinic here on Oahu. I know I can go there. I know that I can pay out of pocket, but I wanted to see if there's something that I can do here. And whatever guided me to make that appointment with my practitioner, who has like my history, it was just a blessing, because going to him in Hawaii, it's a little different, like a suite of doctors. So I am on a specific team. So they have these different teams, and when I go into my provider, so like the OBGYN, if I have to get like my annual checkup, my women's annual checkup, that sort of thing. All that stuff happens in that office. Along with that, they have a psychologist in that office, and they have an RN who does mental health work specifically in that office. So when I talked to my doctor and he's like, I feel like you're significantly depressed. When he prescribed that medicine, then I went in to see the psychologist in that team, and that was extraordinarily helpful. Once I got on the Prozac and experienced that change, I still was thinking weight loss medicine. The doctor was going to prescribe me something for that, but he said he thought that it would be better for me to have weight loss surgery, and he challenged why I hadn't ever considered it. And when I told him that I feel like it's not for me, I told him my weight, like my history and stuff with regaining weight, beyond just what was visible to him in my chart. And he's like, I really think you should go to the info session. And I'm like, I'm too broken. So I left, but then I thought about it more. And as I considered it and thought about it, I went back to my doctor and was like, yes, if you could refer me to that info session, that would be, I think, a good first step. I did more research into it. It's different when you look at weight loss surgery as like, I'm looking at weight loss surgery. When you're looking at weight loss surgery as in, this is something I may do. Like for me, that was two different things. I never thought I was too good for weight loss surgery, or that I was just gonna, grin and bear it and do it on my own. I really thought that weight loss surgery wouldn't be a good solution for me. And then when I went to that info session, I learned how wrong my thinking was. All of the reasons that I thought weight loss surgery wouldn't be for me was laid out before me on this major presentation, explaining why it will help me be the most successful. Once I did that info session, it was kind of a no-brainer for me personally, with my weight loss history. So it was a culmination of things. One, not fearing depression in the same way. Like, of course, I will always fear that state of mind, but having a medication treatment for it that worked the way that this worked for me. The medication cleared the fog for me. I don't know how to describe it other than that. Having that fully treated, so not just with counseling, but also with the medication, gave me more confidence and more trust. The next question. So when I researched weight loss surgery, I couldn't get away from the feeling of being choked. The thought of overeating with such a small stomach. Does that mess with you mentally? How do you deal with eating such small amounts emotionally? So it's really interesting to me because small amounts no longer feel like small amounts. So, I'm eating my food off this teeny tiny plate, and when I look at it, I'm like, oh, that's not a lot of food. But when I eat, it feels like I ate quite a bit of food. So, and I don't feel choked because I listen to those fullness cues and I stop. So I haven't had an experience yet where I just ate too much. The closest thing to that was when I ate the broccoli, and I think it's just the gas from the broccoli. That was like one of the worst things ever. And then also, the size of my stomach is not as small as if I would have gotten like the gastric bypass. So the gastric bypass is like half an ounce to an ounce, whereas mine should be about 8 to 10 ounces is what mine holds. So there's a difference there too. And so I don't feel choked. I am glad I didn't read your question before I got the surgery. Reading that verbiage, I would have been like, oh yeah, I bet that is how I would feel. I bet that's gonna be so miserable. And so yeah. And I guess it does kind of mess with you mentally, because if, let's say I'm feeling really, really hungry, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna eat, but then you barely eat anything and you're full. So it doesn't mess with me mentally in a bad way, but it is like a little bit of a trip, like, because I'm like, oh, I'm so hungry, and then it's like 2 bites later, I'm like, oh, I'm done, it's perfect. Whereas, that would not have been the case before at all. So there's that. Just curious, does the surgery help with food noise? I read that Zoloft does. I agree, I'm rarely hungry. Will you share which antidepressant you are on? I am on Prozac, and I don't know if I really noticed a difference in food noise taking Prozac or not taking Prozac. I also don't know that my food noise, I don't know. Like, I don't know. I think I just overthink about everything. So when I read that, it's a pretty straightforward question, right? But then I make it super complicated in my head, and now I'm answering like way something else. But I feel like because that hunger hormone was mostly in the part of the stomach that they removed, and I think, I'm not positive that this is the case, but I think from what I understand, that hunger from that hormone will come back to a degree, never the same as what it was at point of surgery, but that it can come back. So I won't continuously feel that way. Plus, when they first do the surgery, your stomach can be sort of numb for a while after, which changes the way you feel things as well. So from what I understand. What is something that you do in your free time that gives you joy? This is Hannah, and Hannah has a YouTube channel, so you should definitely check it out. So I love scuba diving. I love it so much. I also really enjoy reading, enjoy my job, and I enjoy the water. I think that's the biggest thing, is like scuba diving. I just love it. I love it so much. So, have you watched The Game Changers on Netflix? I haven't heard of it, so I'm gonna have to look that one up. How do you manage while your husband is gone, staying focused, making meals, etc.? I think it's interesting. It's a lot easier for me to stay, at least in the past, it's always been very easy for me to stay more on track when I'm by myself, because there's such a limited I'm only focusing on what what I'm eating, if I'm eating a specific way, then that's the only factor. Whereas I never expect my husband to eat the way that I'm eating if I'm eating on a diet. Or if I'm like watching what I eat. So that doesn't change so much. I think the loneliness factor does, like there's like maybe a little bit more boredom, but focusing on filling that time with other activity is just really important, like before and now. So, and luckily I haven't experienced a long period of him being gone. So in 2018 he was deployed. Aside from that deployment, and he was gone like, I think it was like 10 months total that he was gone. Is it longer? No, I think it was 10 months. Aside from that one deployment, in his entire military career, he really hasn't been gone for more than a few weeks at a time, with the exception of right before he got his orders. He got his orders while he was away, and that was a very frustrating trip. And that was probably the worst, because the trip that he took at that point, he was called away, and there was no timeline. It could be that he was going to be gone for several months. It could have been that he was going to be gone for a couple weeks. And then every day they were telling him different information, which was stressful for him. And then he would share, like, I might be coming home Thursday. And then he'd be like, no, now I might be coming home like 2 months from Thursday. So it was really frustrating. And that kept me from being able to get into like a groove, because I am maybe weird, I don't know. I just am me, and I start preparing for things before they happen, sometimes to my like downfall. But when I'm like, oh well, he's coming home, so I need to like do this and I need to do that, and for him or for us, I do pretty well on my own, and I feel like we do great together. Yeah. So how did me and my husband meet? We met through church. So I am from Alabama. My dad was in the military, so I kind of grew up everywhere. For my job at the time, I relocated from Tuscaloosa, Alabama to Utah, and I was in Utah for a couple years before I met him. And we met a few times at church, and then a mutual friend of ours brought him to like a football party that I like semi-hosted. I did it at a restaurant, so it's not like I was hosting it, it was at the restaurant. I did do a lot of like football parties and stuff, just because if you're from Alabama, like it's fun. And I had a lot of friends in Utah that were also from Tuscaloosa, so it was fun to have people come get together and watch Alabama football. And that's the first time my husband and I really hung out, was at a Alabama LSU game. So yeah, it's good times, roll tide. Will I be doing vlogs? I think when we leave here, if I don't have, I think I'll be very sad if I have not documented the beauty and the amazingness that this island shares and has. So I do believe that I will, but I'm still timid about it. So but we'll see. Were weight loss drugs such as Ozempic an option for you? If so, what made you decide to go to the surgery route? I kind of already touched on this question. I was going to make it available for me. What is your husband's reaction to your weight loss surgery? My husband has been so incredibly supportive. He was so sweet and thoughtful as he helped me recover, and he is very happy with my decision to have weight loss surgery. He was pretty opposed to the idea of weight loss surgery. I don't really know what changed. Like, we have talked about weight loss surgery in the past, but I had never gone to him like, I want to get weight loss surgery. And when I had brought up weight loss surgery to him in the past, he was not for it. To him about what my doctor had said. And then even more so once I talked to him after the information session, and then he was able to even go with me to some appointments and get more information. He was 100% on board and very happy and very supportive. So I was very grateful for that, because I know that's not always the case, and I feel like he is as happy as I am with my progress. Like, he's very supportive and encouraging, and I love that. Can you do a video before July 3rd about your pre-op diet? I don't know that I will be able to do a video before July 3rd, but diet for me was just full liquids. So I could do, and that for mine meant I could do pudding, I could do sugar-free popsicles, I could do sugar-free fudge pops, I could do protein shakes. They did give parameters, like they wanted, if there was this many calories, they wanted this much protein, and if there wasn't, that didn't line up, then it wasn't going to be good. And then they also wanted little to no sugar in them unless it was like from natural sources. Greek yogurt was part of that, so I could do yogurt. I did a lot of broths. I could do like mushroom soup and other soups, but they just needed to either be blended up to where there was nothing, like no foody texture, so it just had to be blended. And then of course you should not do things like, I've heard of people doing things like, I don't know, blending up a hamburger. Like, that's not what that phase is for. So that phase is, yeah, you want to follow whatever your surgeon lays forward for your pre-op diet and try to follow it exactly. And if you have trouble with it, then I would reach out to your provider either for encouragement or for different solutions. Yeah, so hopefully that helps. I am rooting for you, and I hope that it goes wonderfully, and I'll be praying for your quick recovery. Will you be attempting another running challenge when you are able to exercise? I eventually will run. Before, I had gotten to a point it didn't feel great, like on my knees as I pushed forward walking, and it actually felt better to have that bend in my knee and to just do the light jog that I was doing. At this point, I have not been working out like I was working out, and I have not been running, so until I'm substantially lighter, I don't think that I will run. So yeah, we'll see. Time will tell. Eventually, sure. Just when I'm cleared for exercise, probably not then. It'll probably take me longer to get back into that sort of thing, and it will look very different, I'm sure, for me than it did in the past. The sun is setting, so as the lighting changes, bear with me. I might not have that much more time, which I do have some overhead lights on. I'm sure that's not doing me any favors. I keep hearing you talk about going back to work, but I thought you did YouTube full-time. Does that mean like go back to filming in real-time vlogging, or did you get a job outside of YouTube? I never intended to do YouTube full-time. I thought that when I was furloughed and when the pandemic happened, and then like the growth of the company I worked for, and I worked in like more of a development side of the operations and creating training programs and stuff, because we were going to be growing and we needed to grow to scale. Like it was that stuff all halted, and I think I'm very excited for that company because I think they're starting to get their feet back under them and continue to grow. There was so many plans and it all just got tanked. So when everything shut down, and I took my work energy and I channeled it into doing YouTube, not to make YouTube my full-time job. That was not my goal. I thought that I would be doing YouTube in that way for maybe a year till we left Missouri, but then I really loved being able to prioritize my husband and prioritize us, and I still think that there's a lot of value in that. So with being laid off in that way, I learned how quickly you become expendable, even if you give everything. And I'm not saying that in a bitter way or an angry way. It makes sense to have things that you're doing for yourself, that you have multiple streams of income and things like that. So I got to this by saying, you thought I did YouTube. So yes, I went back to work outside of YouTube. To answer that a little quicker. How far behind are these videos? Like a year? No. These videos are, at this point, they should be about a month behind. My intention was never to get more than a month, but I struggled with making the first video back for quite a while. That's why I did the 2 weekly updates within 1 week, just to catch back up to where it's just a month out. And the month cushion has to be there. My husband, his job, there are things that need to be delayed and not talked about until they are already underway, and that's just the nature of it. So how did the pups handle the move? They handled it so well, and they did great. They really loved our time down in Waikiki. I loved being in Waikiki. It was pretty great. Not the best for eating, like healthy anyway. I mean, there's always healthy options, but we ate out for all of our meals for 2 months. Like we had a small, well, I guess it wasn't 2 full months, because we ended up having to switch hotels, and when we did, we left Waikiki area and we went onto a military base in that hotel. In that hotel we had a little kitchenette situation. Going back to the puppies though, they loved Waikiki, especially Julio. He loves attention, and every time they're walked in a public space, they get so much love. And that is always, it makes my heart happy. Julio gets lots of love even when it's not a public space. Like people will stop and roll down their window and talk about, you know, how pretty he is and what a good boy he is. Chipper, I think people want to do that, but she's a little crazy, so she barks and people are kind of like, oh, bye, bye. Is there a time frame that they told you when you were probably going to be at a healthy weight? Or do they say that depends on the person? So they haven't given me a timeline for me to be at a healthy weight. It is expected to lose, I think 70 to 80% is the number. As long as things go best case scenario. Some people do not hit those numbers and they do everything that they're supposed to. And other people go beyond that. Like they lose more than that weight in that same time period, and they're just doing what they were told. So it's very individual, but there also is that expectation to a degree. So I'm happy to be here. I know that the weight is going to come off, and I am happy to be living that. And then I feel very confident in my ability and my plan in order to stay healthy, not just physically but mentally, and keep that weight off. You talk about working. What type of profession is that? How long are you working again? Just curious. I am not comfortable talking about my profession, where I work, what I'm doing. I will not give those types of details online. It's just not safe, and I am not comfortable. It makes me very sad, and it makes me frustrated because I am an oversharer, I think, to a degree. And so it bothers me for there to be like that boundary that I have to navigate around in my own head, but it's very necessary. Next question, why surgery versus the weight loss shots? So I think I already covered this. I'll link the video. I am capable of losing weight, and I'm capable of being very strict and losing weight quickly. Like, I have done those things before. My issue is that I gain the weight back. And so when I decided I was going to lose weight slow and steady, I was never struggling as much to lose the weight in the moment. I was worried that something that I was going to do as I was trying to lose the weight was going to be the catalyst for my weight regain. And that wasn't the best thinking. It wasn't the best plan, but that was where I was at. And then it was very hard for me when I lost weight slowly, and I had lost a little over 100 pounds, and then I gained so much of that weight back. That was extraordinarily difficult to process and to deal with emotionally, physically, all of the things. And I felt like I needed something more drastic. And once I went to that information session and had that that information presented to me, and after my doctor pointed out that I did not just gain all of the weight plus more back, I stopped. So I did gain quite a bit of weight, but I didn't keep going. I did get to a point where I sought help from my provider, and that is different. And my plan going forward is will be, once I get those first feelings of depression, will be to request to be on Prozac. If I'm already on Prozac, to request maybe an increase in dosage. Like, I don't know exactly what the future holds, so I feel more confident now. And then I also have this weight loss tool, being the surgery, and the weight loss shots I feel like are something less permanent. I know that weight loss medication and weight loss shots, they can help you, and they make you feel and think differently about food. But I need it more than that. I need to be able to manage my major depression that I get and stop that, because that is when I always gain weight. The actual weight loss, I know I can do. And then the surgery is, I want to get there fast too. Like, I do not have time. If there's a chance for us to have kids, I don't have time to lose it, and I don't need to do it in a way that doesn't have like data that this has so much data that having weight loss surgery improves your fertility. There's even people who have had the surgery, and this will not be me. I'm very careful with my birth control and things like that, but there have been people that have the weight loss surgery and then 3 months later they're pregnant, and they have healthy pregnancies, but it is a struggle and it is very hard on your body. So at that point, you're not getting enough nutrients post-surgery yet. Like, your body isn't healed fully. You don't know how things are going to be for you and your new, like, with your malabsorption and things. So it's just not that safe to be pregnant at that point. However, people do have healthy pregnancies that way. I am doing everything in my power to not be one of those people. I would like to not get pregnant until I am a minimum like a year to 18 months out, but I would like to be as close to goal weight as possible before getting pregnant. And yeah, so I don't know exactly what the timeline is, how that will look, but yeah. Oh, I'm like, I just answered this question, and then I look at the question, I'm like, oh, that was not what I was talking about. I'm sorry. What is your favorite beach? What is my favorite beach day? I will go to the beach any day. My favorite beach here in Hawaii, it really varies. It just depends on the activity that I'm wanting to do. But I love going to the beach when there's very little people at the beach. So that's my favorite beach day. So this one's, what is my job? What is my new job? I wish I could share more, but I also am the one setting that boundary, so I'm not going to, but yeah. Of all of the surgeries, why did you and your doctor decide which one would be the best for you? So the thing with the surgeries is they did not put a lot of pressure on me as far as which one. I don't think they want to pressure people into doing something they're uncomfortable with, so they didn't talk to me about that surgery any differently than they talked to me about all of the other surgeries. And the reason that I chose it, I shared this recently when I recorded a video, so y'all haven't seen that yet, of course, but I have had a pretty bad ulcer before. It was a long time ago, but with the gastric bypass, it can cause, like, you're at a much higher risk for ulceration and complications with that than with the surgery that I got or with just the gastric sleeve. And then there were a few other reasons that I thought the duodenal switch would be better. Most of it is the long-term data. There's a study I read about like a 20-year out and how successful people were at maintaining their weight loss, and then also how little regret they had even if they had complications. So with surgery that I have had, there can be complications now, there can be complications down the road, so it's not something to choose lightly, and I would not choose it as my first, third, fourth option. Like, I have tried so many different things before turning to weight loss surgery. And so, what work do you do? Can you share your meal plan and what you were eating? I will try to film a full day of eating soon. I literally, if you look at any, like, it's so interesting how similar people who have had weight loss surgery have to eat, because we're just prioritizing protein, and a lot of it to me doesn't look that great, but it's just what I need to do. But yes, I will share that eventually. I will do like a full day of eating. I just need to be able to vlog first. Instead of weight loss surgery, why not do higher dose of GLP-1 medication? That would make more sense. I think that's debatable. That might make more sense for you or someone else, but I couldn't take a higher dose because I haven't taken any dose. Yeah, so is the Army medical insurance covering your surgery and therapy? Yes, so the therapy that I am doing now is in conjunction with the weight loss surgery, so that's different than the therapy I received when I did my, that's different than the therapy that I got when we were working on the medication and my depression. The therapy that I'm doing now is part of the program. I don't know if everyone does it, but I requested it when I did my behavioral health assessment. I asked if that was an option, or if that he could refer me to like other providers here on the island that have experience working with people who have had weight loss surgery, and he said that it would be an option for me to meet with him. So that is what I am doing, and I'm very grateful for that, to have someone who has the knowledge that he does. So what kind of music do you like? I like all music. I really like all music. And then what is your favorite board game? I gotta take that back. I don't necessarily like all music, but I like most music. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wish I could answer that better. My favorite board game, I like Apples to Apples, and there's a game that I played with my family not too long ago called The Game of Things. Well, I guess it's been a few years now, but I loved playing that with them. That was really fun. Are you going to be taking us along on your walks and during your exercise routines? Hopefully I will be able to do that, and I just have to figure that stuff out. Do you have a plan to stay on track with your mental health as you restart your weight loss journey? Your last video before the break had me very concerned for you. Pray you continue to do better. Yes, that last video before I stopped posting, I was in a dark place, and it just got darker. But I feel like I have shared that I do have a plan, and I will continue on that path. What is the next weight you're really looking forward to getting down to? So the next weight I am looking forward to getting down to is I want to get past that 248 that I had gotten down to before we moved. So, and it wasn't right before we moved. I think timeline is fuzzy for me, but I had gotten down to that weight and then I started the marathon training, or it might have been during the marathon training, the half marathon training, when I started increasing mileage. I really sort of stopped. I started eating the calories I was burning for fuel, essentially, and stopped losing weight. And that probably wasn't the brightest at the time, but my focus was just, all working out that I have ever done is not for the weight loss specifically. I don't work out to lose weight. I have worked out to keep my head right, to keep my mental side right. And I think I used that working out, I used that half marathon to not deal with the anxiety and fear I had about the move. And I don't know that that was the healthiest. So let me go back and read this question. I knew it. I was like, they didn't ask me this. I'm definitely oversharing. But okay, I don't know how I got there, but I did. And I've almost lost all of the light. So I'm going to answer 2 more questions. Well, I'm going to do 2 more posts, and then I'll continue the rest in another video, I'm sure. Are you going to bring back monthly check-ins with measurements? It's one of my favorite ways of tracking progress. So that's sort of what the DEXA scan is going to be for, and I will bring measurements in that way. I know that the surgical team at the pre-surgery, not pre-surgery even, it was at the information session that she took a measurement. She took a few measurements, and I would really like to get those. So when I go into my next appointment, I'm going to see if she has that data, and that would be cool. And then I'll get my husband to help me measure. I don't trust my ability to I don't trust my ability to measure myself super consistently. I'm trying. I'm tracking my measurements for myself, and like I've made it such a chore. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna measure 3 inches up on my arm, and then I'm gonna go around and I'm gonna measure that. Like, I'm trying to be so precise, and it stresses me out. And then when I input or do things wrong, I feel very frustrated with myself, and it feels a little unhealthy. So I doubt I will share measurements, maybe at some point, but probably not. I do have some, and I will be sharing the DEXA scans. I don't know at what point. They were hard to look at. It was hard to look at the DEXA scans, I'm not gonna lie. There's no lying to yourself when you look at that scan. And when I looked at that scan, I was just, it was hard. So okay, moving forward. And the last question for this video that I am going to cover is going to be from Katie. Katie asked, how did your age and wanting to have children factor into your decision to get weight loss surgery? Then she shares that she's 34 and dealing with infertility due to her weight and PCOS. In my mind, I just knew I had to get the weight off. And so when I went to my doctor and I was like, okay, take this weight loss medicine, like the hurry for getting that weight off was so that I could get fertility treatments. And a very happy thing that I don't know if I talked about in the video I did about the different weight loss surgeries, but every single weight loss surgery, the nurse that works with my surgical team, she kept continuously telling me, she's like, PCOS symptoms are almost 100% resolved. So I did not see a study, that she did not pull up data and show me, but from what she has seen with patients, their symptoms, infertility and things that they have, maybe not is 100%, but most people, those things are resolved. And so my hope is that when I get all of the weight off, that we will just get pregnant. And if not, then I will be able to get fertility treatments and get pregnant. Answer more directly, I think the ability to carry a child is like number 1 on my like whys. And the fact that this does help so much with fertility, that is huge. And I think it was such a collective, like there's so many little details shared to me in that info session that I was just like, yes, this is going to help me get to where I need to be in so many different ways, along with the things that I've already learned. So, you know, before I took that time and lost weight slowly, I thought that I wouldn't be able to. I thought I couldn't lose weight that way. I thought it had to be some sort of diet. Something was wrong with me and I couldn't just lose weight. So I know I can lose weight in that healthy, slow, and sustainable way. I know I can commit to a diet and lose weight that way. What I don't know that I can do is sustain weight loss. And with this tool, I will have help doing that. It will not do it for me. And some of the things that this tool gives you in order to lose the weight, those things will fade and they aren't going to be something that I can rely on. It is like that full lifestyle change plus doing the things that I know I need to do. Like I already, in that How Did I Get Fat video, I outlined things I know lead me, or I end up with, after going through certain events, in a state of depression. I knew that. I will always lean on medication and therapy to prevent going into a deeper depression. And then I know I also need to consider different things that I can do, have conversations with my significant other about things that I can do to prevent the slide if I find myself in that depression. And I don't really know what that looks like, and that's something for me to discuss with my husband, with my counselor, and figure those things out. And I think that going through the counseling that I have access to with someone who has counseled people through the weight loss surgery process, I'm going to have a pretty good wealth of knowledge and information, somebody to give me pretty solid advice, and I'm very grateful for that. So with that, this is going to end my Q&A, and thank you so much if you've made it through all of this. I am so grateful for you. I'm grateful for y'all's questions. I will continue. I'll probably put on my Instagram at some point and ask if people have other questions. So I will be doing some more Q&A type videos. And so always feel free to drop our questions in the comments below. And I am very grateful for you. I am rooting for you in whatever endeavor you are going for, whether that is just to live a little healthier, a little happier each day, whether you are trying to lose weight and you're learning how to do that in a healthy, happy way for yourself, or you're thinking about weight loss surgery, whatever that way is, I'm rooting for you. I know you can do this, and I will talk to you next time. Love you so much. Bye.